starting to record. Well, okay, first of all, thank you very much for joining me, Chris and Natasha, and for speaking with people on Vows and Vocals. Just wanted to kind of get a little bit of information about your day. Where did you get married?
Everingham Park.
Tell us about Everingham Park.
What was that, sorry?
Tell us about Everingham Park. What was it like?
You go for it. What do you think it's like?
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, amazing venue. It's quite unique. It's got a bit of everything all in one place. So it's got a wedding barn. It's got the stately home, but then it's also got this mad Roman Catholic chapel, which I know you fell in love with, Steve, and it was fantastic. Yeah.
I was utterly fascinated by the history of the chapel. Is that what is the kind of quirkiness what drew you to it?
Yeah, definitely. And I'd had a childhood wish of getting married in York Minster.
Oh, really?
Which I wasn't christened there. I'm not particularly religious either, so that wasn't going to come true.
Right.
So when we started to look at venues, I'd kind of had this little itch in the back of my mind, thinking, I did kind of envisage a religious venue, but I'm not religious and I don't want a religious ceremony. And we viewed quite a few venues, didn't we? And then we went there and it looks nothing from the outside. And we walked in and I thought, oh, this is it. It's like the domed ceilings and yeah.
And it's a deconsecrated Roman Catholic church, isn't it? And it is beautiful. It's on the estate, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's all on the ground. And it won't be for every, I don't think, because we did view a lot of venues, it probably won't be for everyone, but it depends what people are looking for, I guess, because a lot of wedding venues do a lot of weddings. I know that sounds obvious, but like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, even Sunday, whatever, they're churning weddings out, whereas the venue we chose is quite unique or a bit different in that she doesn't have weddings every single weekend. So we had a bit more, it was just a bit more unique and a bit more us, I guess, wasn't it?
Yeah, and relaxed.
Yeah.
The whole thing was really relaxed.
And if you'd have gone for a wedding venue where they do weddings, say 4 or 5 times a week, did you feel that was a little bit of a conveyor belt sort of thing?
Yeah, I think there was one we visited and we called it a sausage factory.
Okay, and that just isn't you, is it? I mean, it works
exactly,
for some.
Yeah.
No.
And it's not to say that's not like a good, because obviously
it's a lovely,
doesn't it? Yeah, it was a lovely venue and the people were great. But it just feels a bit more like commercialised, whereas we were just, I guess everyone's different, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think we were told so many details of, you'll go here, then you'll do this, then you stand here, then you cut your cake here, and then you'll walk out here, and you come around here, and then you have, the thing that put us off, one in particular, and it's vivid in my mind, is you have to have their entertainment.
Yeah.
They have these people that are attached to that venue, and that's not, our whole theme was music, and we knew we wanted to do something special, so that was something that put us off. We didn't want just something that was in the box and like, you do this, this, and this, and then you go home, and then you're married.
Yeah, so that's a really interesting point that for some people they get that all in one package, don't they? And that's actually suitable for them because then they don't necessarily have to think about all the details. But you were very, very orientated around music, weren't you? Tell us about why that was so important to you.
Yeah, our theme, music. We both love music.
Yeah, we do. We decided quite early on, I think, that we wanted to go with that because it's one of our loves and passions, and we love live music and we love listening to music and stuff. So that was quite easy, really. I think
all the records in the background.
Yeah, it was quite easy for us to choose that, but then there was a lot of work on the back of that one to try and find the right kind of vibe or the right people, the right.
Yeah.
Which is why we're glad we found you, Steve, obviously. But yeah.
And it informed our accessories. It informed the names of the tables. It then, because music's so important to us, we knew that the songs that we chose throughout the whole day, we would be really careful about.
Yeah.
It was never about, which again is what some people really love, instrumental versions of whatever, or a string version of something. We're all about the real thing. And it really did shape the day. Once we'd picked that theme, it kind of picked us in a way, didn't it? But
yeah.
it then allowed us to do everything else off the
Yeah.
back of it.
And I always think that couples, when they come to plan their weddings, they've got a list of priorities that they will spend money on or that they have to have at their weddings. Music was one of yours. What were the other kind of deal breakers for you that made the day to say, I can't have the day without X, Y, Z? What were your sort of top three? Music's one of them. What would you say were the other two things?
The deal breaker for me was that we were legally married on the same day that we
Right.
had the non-religious ceremony. So that was one of my deal breakers. Music, but I think our third would be food, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say food. Yeah, because you spend a huge amount of your budget on food, and you kind of. It was a weird one because we wanted to feed people kind of what we liked, if you get what I mean. So we wanted to make it a bit more personal again, as opposed to generic sort of stuff. So so that was kind of a big thing.
You managed to tick a lot of boxes then in your top three, didn't you? Because you got the music, you got the food, but you also got your, I guess, micro wish of being married in York Minster, but also being married on the day. You are the first couple that I've ever met and ever done a wedding for where you had two ceremonies. Tell us about two ceremonies.
So it did cause us a few timing issues, but I think it was more from me and you agreed. We were legally married on the same day. So we legally married at 1 o'clock and then had our celebrant ceremony at 2:30. And I actually had 4 dresses, but I only did end up wearing 2 of them.
Wow, okay.
So I did get completely changed after that legal ceremony, but we had photos in between and whatnot.
Yeah.
So because of the venue, we were able to have the legal ceremony inside the house, intimate, really close family, quite a quick service as well, because we didn't want that to take all the time. We knew the other ceremony was like the big celebration for us that we'd really personalized, but it meant that we were then legally married. We'd seen each other as well, which I think was nice. Got rid of those nerves, and then had a few photos and whatnot, and kind of reset, and all the majority of our guests started to arrive. But again, because of the venue, we were able to keep apart, even though it was really close together.
Yeah.
And then sort of start all over again and have the celebrant ceremony. Mm-hmm.
That's really interesting because you did have two ceremonies where you had the legal one and then you had the celebrant ceremony. A lot of people would go for, we'll get married on the Thursday legally down at the registry office, and then we'll mock up the ceremony on the day. That's typically what I've done at weddings before with couples. And that having two ceremonies in one day represented a huge amount of work for you. Why was that so important to you that you get married on the same day?
I couldn't bear the thought of having 2 anniversaries. Like, which one would be the real one?
Right.
It had to be, when I put that ring on, I had to be, in my mind, legally married.
Right, okay.
It was just something I couldn't get over. And we talked about it, didn't we? And I don't think you would have done whatever, but I just couldn't get over it. I couldn't it made me really sad. And I thought, no, I'm not having this. We'll just do it all in one day.
And it was a lot of work, but it ended up working well, didn't it? I think, it's amazing.
I think there's benefits to it because it's a bit like when you do the first look with the photographer, it gets rid of those nerves. You've seen each other, you've seen some of your close family that you've not seen in the morning, and then you can relax that little bit to really enjoy yourself.
And maybe feels somewhat disingenuous to get married 2 days before to you and then a couple of days later go, now we're husband and wife. Well, we've been husband and wife for 48 hours, actually.
Yeah. Absolutely. But again, it suits some people, and it's not to say one's right, one's wrong. It's just what I think you feel you can be most comfortable with. And it was absolutely one of our top priorities.
Fantastic. Amazing. So our top...
our priorities.
Mr. and Mrs. Marshall's priorities, yes.
Yes.
So when somebody comes up to you and says, "How was your wedding?" and they bring up the sort of day for you, what's the first memory that pops into your mind of the day?
There's so many.
Yeah, there is. I think in the legal ceremony we had some dogs barged into the room
Yeah.
that weren't actually ours.
weren't yours. Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got 3 dogs, and they were there on the premises, but then 2 other dogs decided to kind of barge in at a really good time, actually. So that was a bit of a surprise. Yeah,
They did time it perfectly, those dogs, didn't they?
Yeah.
And your registrar said, "And who are these wonderful animals?" And you said, "We don't know."
Not a clue. No.
What's another memory that pops up for you, Natasha?
I think for the celebrant ceremony, walking in, and the song I'd chosen it's really personal because it's one my mum loves. We love it. And it's joyful as well. So walking in, and there were these massive doors, and they were open. And as soon as I got in, and I started to see people that I absolutely love, all my friends, all my family, and I was just so happy. And it was this really nice feeling of, oh my God, I'm so excited now and just so happy. And I just carried on. A lot of my friends and family said to me, "You've just been smiling all day, like you've never stopped smiling." And I think the legal ceremony, I loved it, but I think I was a bit jittery.
Yeah.
And I'd not seen you. And then it's like, "Oh, you're here. Oh,
Yeah,
right."
yeah.
And blink, and that was over and done with. But it was that entering into the celebrant ceremony, I think, was one of the first things that pops into my head as like, yeah, that was a special feeling. But we had so many great moments, didn't we, throughout the day?
Oh, yeah.
Like loads of great moments.
You just can't pick one.
No.
It's hard. Yeah.
Yeah. I loved going in for our wedding breakfast as well. But you were quite cheeky, Steve, because I kept thinking, "Oh, we're coming, we're ready to go in now," and then you would be like chatting and just. I'm thinking, "Oh, he's announcing us," and you weren't. You were announcing yourself.
I was announcing myself, darlings. We have to get my bit out of the way so that we can really focus on who is the proper, the real stars of the show, which is obviously Chris and Natasha, or whoever is watching this who's using me for their wedding. So if so you obviously, you guys planned so much. I mean, there was so much to do. You had donkeys, ponies at your wedding. Shetland ponies, I remember. I mean, there was just so much going on at your wedding. What went on the day? What went the way that you 100% planned it, and what didn't quite go as you planned?
So, do you want to say about what didn't go as planned? Timings wise,
Timings went a bit awry. After the celebrant ceremony, we always knew we were going to be squeezed because we'd squashed in these 2 ceremonies.
Yep.
And then we wanted to feed people, and then we were having more food later on.
Yeah.
So we needed to build it in. But our celebrant ceremony, it didn't overrun. It went to the normal amount of time. We spent quite a bit of time getting people a very short distance to go and have their reception drink.
Yeah.
And then it all started to have a knock-on effect. So reception drinks were maybe about 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
When I think ordinarily we would have had maybe an hour, and we'd have had more photos, and people could have all had a little bit of a relax. But that bit didn't quite go as planned. But it didn't
affect anything, did it?
I don't think anyone really noticed.
No.
I think they were a bit like, "Oh, right, and they had their drink and their canapes."
That's a really good point. And I think when you come to planning a wedding, and you can kind of tell people who are watching this, that there's a lot of anxiety from the bride and groom side about things going wrong, so to speak. So that's a situation that went wrong. But you rightly said there, it just wasn't that big a deal, was it? How did that? What would be your advice to people who are feeling anxious about things like timings and things going wrong?
I think it's obviously natural and obvious that you will feel that way, but in terms of actually the guest, because I always think of it as a guest at weddings I've been to, the guests haven't got a clue.
No, they don't know what's been planned.
If there's a 5 minute or a 15 minute or even a half an hour, whatever it might be, delay or whatever, they're just enjoying the day. They're just loving the day, and no one's got a clue. So actually, it doesn't matter. But I guess it is natural to feel anxious, and you will do it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Excellent. And what went off? What went off without hitch for you? What was like really, absolutely bob on? That's exactly as I planned it, and it went exactly as I thought it would go.
Do you think?
Everything else.
I think pretty much everything.
It
Like
did, but-
the music. So obviously the live music, the DJ, obviously that you kind of put us in touch with Josh, and he was brilliant as well, and so all that kind of thing was fantastic.
I think a really specific example where we had quite a bit going on was our first dance, and that went really well.
Because you would tell us about the first dance. You were dancing on the clouds, weren't you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course.
So we had a specific song, which was Diana Ross, Love Hangover, and at a specific point in it, we wanted to invite everybody onto the dance floor with us. We also had like a dry ice, the dancing on the clouds pumped in, and you're time bound with that. It'll stay put for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And we also had the cold spark fireworks that were going off. So to say that we had great suppliers, I think is an understatement, because everybody worked together to like get all of our guests in the right place at the right time, get us to another door, pump this fog in so that it was right. It had just started to come in so it would stay, to time the music. So that was one kind of particular example, I think, that just went off absolutely without a hitch, and we just loved it. Although you don't like dancing, do you? So you were a bit rude.
It was more of a fair shuffle.
And I have to admit, I am still actually wiping the dust off my mixer from the cold sparks. Even all these months later, I was still sort of like, yeah, they are very, very dusty. And you did actually go for like real all out for the first dance, and it was all time bound, wasn't it? So my questions, we'll wrap up soon, but one of my questions that I was thinking about is, what would you say was absolutely worth the money that you spent on the day, and what's one thing that you say, nah, we probably could have done without that, and we could have saved money there?
Are we allowed to say you for the money?
I didn't lead you into it, but if organically and naturally you want to plug my services,
hand on heart, Steve, to be fair, I can't, because we'd seen you at a wedding fair, we'd seen you online, and we thought, yeah, this guy's great. We came to see you at the Hedgerow House, was it?
Yeah, Hedgerow.
Yeah.
So we'd seen you on stage, and we're like, yeah, he's great, this guy. Yeah, we like him. But I can't, unless you've experienced what our guests did, and people will be like, oh, they're just saying this because, they've got a relationship with them, and of course he's going to ask them. But the atmosphere that you created, our guests have not stopped talking about it. We dropped a birthday card round at one of our friends' houses, and they still brought you up. And all they keep saying is, that guy, he was just amazing. He's great, isn't he? So funny, so warm, so engaging, hitting the right note of the music as well for everyone, to keep people on the dance floor. And especially when we had to have loads of photos, there was a point in the night where we were gone for quite a while.
Yep.
And all I could hear was people laughing and singing and dancing. And we were around by the glitter tattooist, because we had that as well. And my friends came around to see me, and then they were like, come quick, he's playing the song, come quick. And they all ran off and left me. And they'd made some request. I think it was, who sings Sally Cinnamon?
Oh, Stone Roses.
Stone Roses.
They'd requested something and you were singing it, and they would left me. But it was just, I think the way you took us through from, you were right there with us in that legal ceremony, and all the way through the celebrant ceremony, right into the party in the evening, and having you in two different places for the wedding breakfast. I said to Chris, what's he doing over there? Why is he over there? Is he going to stay over there? The stage is behind us. Like, he gets it, he knows what he's doing. And the money, I couldn't spend the money in a better way. I don't think we could we? Because it was just like, that was brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think everything as well. Everything else was really good. If we were going to change something, it might be maybe we'd have less food on the night time.
I think so. I think we would have pushed the time on, fed people once.
But that's mainly because we didn't have a lot of night guests. So a lot of our guests, probably 95% of our guests, were there throughout the day. So we wouldn't necessarily need to. But if you've got a lot of night guests coming, you need to still. It's sort of horses for courses, isn't it?
I think we could have done. We had pizzas, like a pizza van and an ice cream van, and it was great. And people did eat, And some people ate quite a lot actually, and they were like, "Oh, I didn't think we were going to eat all this because we were still quite full." But you probably could have done something slightly different, or we could have fed people later, given them a longer drinks reception, pushed it
Yeah.
all on a bit. That would be the thing we would probably change.
But none of
not
these things kind of spoiled the day or changed
Oh,
anything,
God,
did it?
no,
Fantastic,
no.
really. And I'll send you some money over PayPal for the for the kind words that you just given me. I'm blushing.
Much appreciated.
I'm blushing. I really am. Okay, so I'll finish with this and just ask, if you had any bride and groom right in front of you, in front of this camera now, or if they were in your room and you were to give them the most soothing piece of advice about their wedding planning, what would it be?
I would. So obviously, on top of yourself, Steve, we had an amazing photographer. We had a really good videographer team as well, so they were amazing. So Kerry Jones photography and the Red Seats videographers, fantastic. The reason we managed, I think, to get such good suppliers was doing it early. So don't kind of wait and then kick yourself because you can't get the supply you wanted because you've left it too late. So I think we felt like there was a big lull because maybe 18 months or 2 years, however long it was, from booking suppliers and paying deposits, there was kind of a big lull until everything starts like really ramping up towards the wedding. But I think to have the peace of mind and have that all in place was key, I think.
Yeah.
I would say.
I think as well, like depending on where you're at in your journey of planning, it's easy to say when you're out the other side, don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah.
Because I really did. And the night before, I could not get to sleep, and everything was sort of running through my mind because I ran everything through in a timeline order over and over again. I knew exactly where everyone should be at every single moment. But once it actually comes, you don't think, right, I must relax and enjoy it. You just start relaxing and enjoying it. And it's all going to be all right would be the most soothing thing I could say to anyone. It will come, the day will come, and it will go off without a hitch. And if there's little bits, no one notices because they don't know what it was meant to be. They just think this is how it's meant to be.
I think that's great. That's a great piece of advice because it does feel like a platitude to say don't sweat the small stuff. But this is coming from somebody who, you two were incredibly organised, and you could have been on the day, you could have been really stressed about that, but you weren't. And I think that's a really, really good piece of advice for anybody who's watching as well. So I want to thank you very much for speaking to me. I hope that's been really helpful to people who are watching. And final question to you, what are you doing with your evenings now you're not planning a wedding?
We've been watching lots of telly.
Yeah, I'm working out how we're going to pay the wedding debt for the next 20 years. That's what it is.
Well, it's all the added extras that we ended up having.
No.
Fabulous. Well, thank you so much for joining me for this interview, and all the best with the rest of your marriage together.
Thanks for having us. Cheers, Steve. Thank you.
Bye.